Hello, I'm Leisa Holland-Nelson, co-host of Culture Club HTX, and I'm here today with my beautiful, blessed, what else is she? Bestie.
Most missed.
Most important.
Oh,
most
yes,
missed.
thank you. That's new. Thank you.
Most important, yeah.
Thank you.
Co-host.
Welcome back.
I'm so glad to be back.
I know.
I didn't say your name. Shavonnah Robert Schreiber.
Yes, other half of Culture
But I
Club
am
HTX.
so glad to be back.
Good.
I loved being away. Everybody knows.
You love being away? What?
I did. I had a great time in New York last week with my daughter.
Well, yes.
But I had to come back to work so I could earn money
That's
because
right.
I have none left.
Right.
None.
Shop
Absolutely
till you drop.
none. Forget drop.
Just none.
Drop dead broke. I mean, we got all the way there. I mean, but we did. We had a great week. And
Awesome.
But of course I missed being here on the show, and of course had a few things to say about it, which you've either heard or will hear about last week's show. But Shavonnah really carried it with our friend James Holland-Nelson Brown.
Yes.
Of the exchange zone, which
That's
I
right.
loved. I never heard that term before.
Right?
I thought it was really fabulous. Do you know what the exchange? Okay, so we have a fabulous guest here today, Carol Enneking, a speaker, an author, a consultant, a brilliant woman, a woman who's worked as an entrepreneur, as a corporate executive, as a trusted advisor, consultant, all the things. And she's written an extraordinary book that I can't imagine anyone doesn't want to read, but especially women. And what I love about it is the title, The Rebalancing Act, Wisdom from Working Women for Success That Matters. And I have been saying a lot in the last 10 days as we head into this crazy season, Carol.
Oh, yeah.
About white space. I talk about white space
So
all the
important.
time, making sure that you've got an opportunity to take an opportunity. There you have that. But Carol, welcome.
Somebody write that
welcome
down.
Thank you.
to the show.
Yes, welcome. We're so happy to have you.
Thank you.
And I never remember anything. So.
Somebody's writing that down.
Somebody write
That was
that down.
actually recorded, so that was really
good.
good.
That was
That is good.
Okay, we're going to use it. But anyway, so first tell us a little about you.
Sure.
And
Before
how
we
you,
do, Lisa, turn off your phone.
Good reminder.
Yeah, that's your phone. So I think what Lisa
It's
was
a
saying,
lot.
so you can think, we just heard a chime, is to tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yes, I'd be happy to. Well, I've been in Houston 50 years this year.
5-0.
5-0.
That's impossible.
Started kindergarten here. I'm
Wow.
55, so that tells you when I moved here. I've watched it change so much.
Lisa's phone's not on. What's that ringing, Carol?
I think it might be her
Okay.
watch.
Is it her
Oh,
watch?
it's
Or
her
is it her gadgetry? Oh, I
It's
think
so
it is.
much gadgetry. It's
I
hard
think
to
it
tell.
is.
I just put it on theater mode. I meant to put it on theater mode, but I put it on Find My iPhone.
Okay.
It happens. It's okay.
Rebalancing. We're
That's
gonna
and
rebalance
multitasking.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
much. It's all
So
the things.
you moved here
I did.
in kindergarten.
I did, and it moved back and forth several times, but I started my career here in 1991. I went to work for Exxon before it was
Okay.
ExxonMobil. Have a marketing degree. Loved learning and development, so I sort of evolved into that. And
Awesome.
then I sort of became an accidental entrepreneur when my first child was born. He's now 27, if that tells you anything.
Wow.
This was the late 90s. My husband had a job that required a lot of travel, and so I needed flexibility. And I started out just being a contractor. I was working for what's now known as Insperity.
Okay.
That was my employer.
Administrator.
Yeah,
Administrative,
Administstaff.
yeah.
Back in the day when it was Administstaff.
That's right.
And my boss, who was a great mentor of mine and still is, she said, you could do your work contract for a while. And I thought I'd be contract for just a little while until I was ready to go back full time. And just a little while turned into 18 years.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
because just when I thought I might go back full time, I found out I was pregnant again.
Ah.
So, I think that life has a way of sort of
Putting you where
helping
you,
you
need to
make
be.
different decisions.
That's right.
And so many of my work decisions were led by personal factors. So the need for more flexibility with the kids was really why I started my company.
Okay.
And likewise, the need to have more stability before my kids went to college in the midst of a not very fun divorce is why I went back to corporate.
Okay.
And I think I wanted to prove to myself after all those years on the outside that I could go on the inside and be an important member of a team. And so for 7 years I did that. It was a wonderful adventure. I had been in the work world about 25 years by that point, and I started learning all over again, and it was a wonderful ride. But I started to think about first of all, I did find love again. So I have the world's
beautiful
most,
ring.
thank you. I have the world's most amazing
always been
husband.
looking.
So the second time around has been just amazing. But he was really encouraging me to follow my dreams.
Okay.
Things like breast cancer, partial blindness. I'm so thankful for the medical doctors that we have here in Houston, Texas.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
being in one of the best medical centers in the world has its perks. And I'm happy to say I'm almost 5 years out from breast cancer.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
In
Thank
case you don't
you.
know, I'm the chair of the board of the American Cancer Society.
Oh my goodness. Well, we'll have
and
to
a
talk.
9.5-year survivor.
Well, congratulations
Thank
to
you.
you. I love hearing stories like that because it gives me hope as I
Yeah,
continue my journey as a survivor. And I also had a hereditary eye disease that would have left me blind if it weren't for the amazing cornea transplant specialists that I went to. And I'm so thankful for all those who are donors of corneas and things. Any
all the
kind
organs.
of organ or
Yeah.
tissue donors. It's really
Wow.
something to think about because I am a very thankful recipient. And I know friends who, this is a side note, but I know friends whose parents died of cancer and they couldn't be organ donors, but they could be tissue donors and give corneas. And it's really a very selfless gift. So I've been through some stuff. We've all been through our stuff.
Yeah.
And I think what was interesting is I always thought I was really receptive to change, but I found myself kind of kicking and screaming like, oh my gosh, I've got to rebuild my whole life after the divorce. And now it's led to this absolutely amazing transformation. And what I really wanted to do was speak and write.
Okay.
And so I knew I wanted to write a book, but it was one of those, the old someday I'll. It's like an island out there somewhere. Someday someday I'll write a book. Someday I'll. And it's so easy to just put it off forever.
So what was the impetus to say,
So-
you know what, I'm doing it.
I'm doing it, yeah,
Writing
well-
the Rebalancing Act.
My faith has played a huge part in all of this. And I was just praying for some discernment and some wisdom to figure out what was next. And I had the opportunity to leave my job. I had been working very closely with my boss, who is another huge mentor and friend for me. She was leaving. I decided it was a good time to leave too. And I think I had one foot in the corporate world and one foot in the entrepreneurial world, and various doors opened and closed and just led me down this path. And I took some time, and we don't do that as women. My kids were grown. I had been working steadily since the moment I got out of college. I couldn't wait to get a paycheck. And it was so nice to just be and just think. And I knew my story, and I knew how hard I had worked despite all those curveballs to raise my children well and to help them think they are the most important thing in the world to me, even when I'm juggling all these other things. And also trying to do the best I can at work and in all those other roles. So I knew my story, but I also knew I didn't have all the answers. So I wanted to interview a lot of others. I interviewed about 70 women, about a dozen men. And it was funny because I started with my friends.
Yes,
I said,
of
I'm
course.
writing a
That's
book.
easy.
Yeah, writing a book. I want to talk to you. And then they said, you should talk to so-and-so. And pretty soon I was talking to people I'd never met, people all over, certainly the U.S. and some international.
Wow.
And, you're dinging again. You are in
I'm
demand.
telling you,
Isn't
I'm
she
just
popular?
happy that there's a witness.
Guys, it was on theater mode. Maybe it's you, Michael. Magical. I'm not sure it's me.
It's not me.
I'm on
It's like a
silent.
nice
No,
little
you're
commercial
not.
break
I
or
know,
something.
right? So you started speaking to all of these people, 70 in
did,
total,
yeah.
and what happened?
Well, I found out their stories. I said, I want to learn more about how you manage all these various roles that you play. And by the way, best childhood friend from here in Houston, Bethany Bradshaw, helped me write the book. You'll see her name on the cover.
That's right.
She has written now 17 books.
Oh my
And
goodness.
so I think I'd be on chapter 1 if I hadn't known Bethany. And so she walked me through everything. And
Oh,
wow,
excellent.
what a great way to write a book. Talk to someone who can help you, whether it's a book coach, a writing coach, whatever it is. Bethany was the glue that really held this together and helped me get it done in less than a year. But we put things together and started coming up with what we call archetypes. And they're just 7 typical ways women show up in the workforce.
This is what I'm dying to hear.
Yeah, so the book is a combination of about a third of it is my own, well, I guess what you'd call a memoir, if you want a fancy term for it.
Yeah.
But it's my own juggling act and everything that I did and all of the lessons I learned, many of which I learned the hard way. I wish I would have learned them more quickly. And then 2/3 of the book is based on the wisdom of these women and the men that I talked to.
I appreciate that you also included men.
I felt like it was important. I mean,
I
I can
do.
speak to the woman's
Right.
experience.
You get a more comprehensive perspective.
But what do men say about all this?
Yeah, I think that's great.
And I have a story there. If we have time, I'll share in a minute. But the archetypes are, it's not meant to be super scientific and this major research project, but it was the sum total of how people see women trying to show up to be successful at work. And unfortunately, when you really dig into some of these archetypes, there are a lot of traps associated with
And
them.
it doesn't sound like it's going to be flattering descriptions.
It's not, but you know what? I fell into probably almost every one of them.
Wow.
So, for instance, I personally identify a lot with overloaded Olivia and lovable Lila.
Okay.
Some people identify with striving Sabrina. That's the one that was probably the least flattering, if you want to use that term, because it's about a woman who's always striving and kind of thinks it's a game with one winner. And so they're very much driven by a scarcity mentality. So it doesn't take long to start figuring out the traps.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it wasn't just me talking about the traps. It was the wisdom of these women who have been there. Either they found themselves. This is so musical. I just love it.
Keep going.
Either they found themselves in the traps or they worked with people. So
They-
it was magnified.
Probably both, right?
It was.
Yeah, in
And
some
so
cases.
instead of just talking to 70 people, it was like 70 people's view on the working world.
Yes.
And they had all these examples, and it was just fascinating. And so many themes came to light. The traps were very evident, but also the tips. How did these people get through it? How can you get through it? And I would say it kind of boils down, not to oversimplify an entire book because there's a lot
Right.
there, but I think it boils down to thinking about your legacy. What do you truly want to be known for? And it was funny. I guess I wasn't that surprised, but a lot came up about how women dress in the workplace.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. So it was the whole, well, hey, is she just using her looks to get ahead?
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of time, and by the way, why are women so awful to each other? Why? Why
Because
do
we can
women tear each other down?
Because we can, because we're not.
Yes.
I think the next generation hopefully will be so much better because they've been brought up with team sports.
Yes,
But
that's
we
an
really
excellent point.
weren't. And so from the baby boomer to whoever's in their late 40s at this point wasn't brought up playing team sports. They
Yeah.
were brought up competing, maybe in gymnastics, maybe in swimming, maybe in the
true.
sports that were kind of available to women, but we weren't on the soccer field.
Right.
You know, it didn't even exist for us. We didn't have T-ball.
I know.
I mean, we didn't
Thank
have
goodness
that.
for Title IX and all these
of that.
trailblazers.
That's right.
And-
So I think that's the giveaway of why.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I want to dig into that a little more.
Yeah.
Well, so how can people, this has already been such a great topic and we're almost at our time. So tell us, how can people find out more about you and the book and buy the book? Where do they need to go to buy the book?
I have a website and it's
Yes.
just my name, Carol Enneking. And if you're okay with it, I'd like to spell
Please,
it.
please.
ENNEKING. Carol, and that's Carol without an E. CarolEnneking.com. You can also look up the Rebalancing Act, and it's available
Great
on
title.
Amazon and everywhere you buy your books. So I think that the bottom line is think about your legacy. And by the way, thank God for all these trailblazers. But we have more choices than we've ever had before. And just because we have all these choices, what we can do in the workplace doesn't mean we can or should try to do everything.
All of them know.
We still
well
need
said.
to make choices. And so
Well
that's
said.
really what the book's all about. So I hope people will find that it resonates with them and find tips and help. And by the way, soon we will have a mastermind community for women.
Excellent.
And they'll
To
be able
talk
to find
about how to share
information
Yep.
about that on your website.
On the
like
website.
to sign up for
Yep.
whenever it comes.
So we'll have a community that we're building starting in January.
Oh, excellent. Yes, we'll be sure to
well,
share
we're
all the
looking
links.
forward to that, and
Thank
we'll share
you.
that.
Thank you so much.
Thank
for
you so
being
much,
here.
Carol.
Well,
This
thank
was
you for
great.
having me.
And as you saw, I was trying to quickly read the
I
book.
know.
I will read it. I will come back with questions, I'm sure.
Thank you. I'd
So,
love for
Thank you
to
for being
ask me.
here. Again, website one more time.
Just go to carolenneking.com. CarolEnneking.com.
Thank you. And with that, we'll be back.
Thank you.